Hello. So we just finished watching Black Mirror's Bandersnatch. I think we didn't. Okay, there's no finishing it. I don't think. Exactly.
For those of you who don't know what it is that we're talking about, the writers and creators of the show Black Mirror, which is a show that we've talked about previously on Manda's YouTube thing, First Impressions.
Yes.
It's a British sci-fi contemporary Twilight Zone anthology show about like the dangers and the what ifs of technology. Yeah. And we are both big fans of the show.
Yes.
And recently they've come up on Netflix with a new spin on the show, which has made it somewhat interactive. It's turned into basically a choose-your-own-adventure television series that we just sat down and watched. And we're going to get into it a little bit here. First and foremost, though, major spoilers.
Many spoilers.
If you have not had a chance to check this out, if you have Netflix, we highly recommend that you stop right now and check it out on Netflix, because it is an experience that you definitely need to check out on your own. But those of you who want to know what we thought of our first trip through it, then you can stick with us here and we'll go through what we thought of this experience.
So this is your 3, 2, 1 spoilers.
So, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Okay, quick note, this isn't the first Choose Your Own Adventure television series I learned earlier today.
Oh, really?
There are others on Netflix, but they're kids' shows.
Oh, well.
So, a bit different.
Yeah.
This is an entirely kind of different beast. We've seen video games like it, but we haven't seen the film.
We have. This is very much akin to something along the lines of like the Telltale games, more recent ones, or like those old Choose Your Own Adventure CD-ROM FMV games, which we've actually played a couple of in our times.
Yeah.
And it's very much like that, because it's basically a televised story in which at certain points during the story you're allowed to interact with the screen. Like a couple of options will pop up and you're allowed to pick which option that you want, and that'll continue the story down a different path.
The difference between this and previous incarnations of it is that it's very much built into the plot that you are controlling a character's choices.
Yes. Narratively, the story is about a young man in like the early 80s developing a video game. One of those like text-based adventure games that were built around a novel, I believe.
Yeah.
And
which has the thickest Choose Your Own Adventure book I've ever seen in my life. I read the Choose Your Own Adventure books like crazy when I was a kid.
I remember the fighting fantasy books by Steve Jackson. And, those are the ones that I remember. But there were a lot of Choose Your Own Adventures. But yeah, in the story proper, he's got his own book, his Choose Your Own Adventure book that he's basing his game off of. And it's like that thick. They were never that thick. But anyway, he's going along trying to develop it. He's also suffered from a bit of a family trauma in so much that he is trying to recover from the passing of his mother, who passed some time earlier in the story, and that's sort of affecting his mental state. He's kind of in a little bit of a tense teenager relationship with his father, and he's also under a lot of pressure to get this video game done. So it starts really affecting him, and the show kind of goes along the lines of, you know, his journey through trying to put this video game together, and along the way, the choices made by the viewers, in this case us, or in your case you, when you decide to watch this, affects how the story plays out, and it starts to really take a toll on him because he starts to actually feel the effects of all of these choices that are happening to him.
And he feels like he's not entirely in control of his own choices.
Yes.
So
it spirals a little out of control here and there, in so much that the show also takes a lot of liberties with the editing, because the show likes to jump back and forth with flashbacks, or maybe they're not flashbacks, or flash forwards, or maybe they're not, or alternate events or dream sequences that he keeps constantly waking up from. It's a bit of a mind spaghetti nonsense.
It is. Okay. So I was starting out with choosing, like, and the choices could be as mundane as, what are you going to eat for breakfast?
Or what music you listen to on the bus.
What music you listen to on the bus. It could be as great as, you going to kill your father or not, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh crap, right? And he doesn't always listen to your choices. Sometimes you can
see him actually resisting the choices sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes the choices come up and they're not even choices. They're actually it'll come up with a choice thing, but it'll only be one option.
It'll come up between two versions of yes, basically.
Yeah. Or not even two versions. It's just one option will be all that you can hit.
Yeah.
So it's a minefield of really sort of meta choose your own adventure storytelling, and there's divergence in with drug taking and all this other stuff, and it's a show that had Manda and I. We just finished watching it, and Manda will attest. There were parts in the show where I was just crawling up the back of my couch, just wanting to get away from whatever was going on.
Oh my god! I think
whatever madness was going on.
My personal favorite part, I don't know if it's Dan's, but I know he was freaking out along with me, was when at some point, there is a point, and we come up to it often. I think this is one of those linchpin scenes where you come back to it often, is he's asking basically, who are you? Who is trying to control me? And you have two choices to answer, and those two choices sometimes change, but one of the choices is Netflix. So if you pick the Netflix option, all of a sudden you get
his computer goes white, and then Netflix starts talking to him,
and it is as close to interacting with him directly as you're going to get, probably.
Yep.
And it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we very much enjoyed it. Supposedly, there are several ways to conclude the story. We've only sort of run into what we can. Maybe one or two of them, we can, and they're definitely not. We feel that there's more of the story that we need to dive into and have a look at.
Well, there are instances in the story where it's very obvious that you can. Sorry, poor Dan's arm's getting tired.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can learn information that you can use later and in other scenes. So we did get to that point. We put the information in incorrectly, so we didn't see the
I put the information in correctly, and I think I got us to one of what can only be described as one of the bad,
darkest ending.
The darkest timeline endings.
Yeah.
So we're eager to jump back in, but we wanted to take this opportunity to tell you guys about what we thought of it initially, and our initial assessment is holy.
It's fun.
Jeez.
It is
as people as a couple of gamers who are really big into the Telltale Adventure games or the Choose Your Own Adventure FMV games. This has been quite an experience for us, and we highly recommend it to anybody out there who wants to maybe check it out, because this is something we haven't seen before. This could very well be where interactive storytelling video game Netflix streaming services possibly might be going towards.
I've been seeing it everywhere, and I think this is where you start to see that kind of thing brought into the mass media.
Yeah.
Right? This is our Telltale stuff. It's a nice niche thing, but this is actually where lots of people love Black Mirror, so they're all going to try this out. Yeah. That's exciting.
So keep an eye out for that going into the next couple of years if you want to check it out. And definitely, if you've got Netflix and this sounds like something you might be interested in, definitely dive into it. It's about the length of, I think, about a feature film but maybe longer. We're not exactly sure to maybe get into all the dark nooks and crannies of it.
Yeah.
We're not sure, but
we got to a point where it didn't repeat anymore.
Yeah.
Usually you always had an option to go back and try it again from another angle.
And again, all of these narrative things that we're talking about, they weave it into the story really, really well.
Yes, very well.
So that's our take on Black Mirror. I forgot the title already.
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch, yes. It's on Netflix. It's definitely check it out. Let us know maybe down in the comments what you think, what you thought of it, without spoiling too much, unless you want to throw up your own spoiler warning. But we'd be interested to see what other people's takes are. Sure enough, I imagine at some point there's going to be a big long deconstruction of it somewhere on the net where everybody's going to have every single
here's 32 things you didn't notice about Bandersnatch.
Exactly. So if you want to maybe try and get in on it while it's still fresh and while that hasn't gone out in the net and spoiled everything, definitely check it out.
Yes.
So take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Amanda's little show that maybe we'll see some more of down the line.
Vlogs.
Until then, though, take care of yourselves, everybody.
Bye-bye.